Right now, you live in a world where alcohol feels completely normal. Beer at parties, wine at weddings. People drink when they're happy. People drink when they're stressed. People drink when they just want to relax. The last time you had a beer or a glass of wine, you probably didn't think about history. You drank it, and you moved on. But what you did was not new. It's one of the oldest things tied to human life. Alcohol is older than writing, older than cities, older than money, older than farming. And in one strange way, it might be older than humans themselves. Because this story doesn't begin in a bar. It begins millions of years ago, with a piece of fruit lying on the ground. Picture a forest, long before modern humans existed. A piece of fruit falls from a tree. It sits there for days. The sun warms it. The fruit turns soft. Tiny wild yeast drifts in and settles on it. And slowly, the sugar inside that fruit begins to change into alcohol. We call this process fermentation. The animals back then didn't know that word. They didn't know science. They had no idea what alcohol even was. But they knew this. That old fruit smelled strong. It tasted sweet. And when they ate it, it made them feel different. A biologist named Robert Dudley studied this exact idea. He's known for something called the drunken monkey hypothesis. And the idea is simple. Long ago, primates may have used the smell of alcohol to find ripe fruit, because ripe fruit meant sugar. Sugar meant energy, and energy meant survival. So in the very beginning, alcohol wasn't about parties. It wasn't about fun. It wasn't about getting drunk. It was a signal, one that said, food is here. So before humans ever made alcohol, nature was already making it, hidden inside old fallen fruit, and our ancestors may have slowly learned to notice it. But stumbling onto fermented fruit by accident is one thing. Making alcohol on purpose is something else entirely. So when did humans first learn to do that? For the answer, we go back around 13,000 years. In a cave in Israel called Rakafet Cave, archaeologists found something remarkable. A researcher named Dr. Li Liu and her team studied the stone tools and the marks left behind inside that cave. And they found signs that people were working with grains, wheat and barley. The grain had been crushed, soaked, and left to change. Which means these people may have been brewing a very early kind of beer. Not modern beer, no bottles, no cans, no fridge, no clean glass. Just grain, water, stone tools, and time. And here's the part that's hard to believe. These people weren't even farmers yet. They were still hunter-gatherers. They were collecting wild grain by hand. And somehow, they had already figured out how to make beer. Think about that for a second. Before cities, before shops, before jobs, before anything we'd call modern life. People were already gathering together and making alcohol. And it probably wasn't just for drinking alone. It may have belonged to the big moments. Funerals, rituals, feasts, gatherings. Picture it. A group sitting inside a cave, a fire burning, the night dark around them. Someone brings out a simple drink made from grain, and they pass it around. People talk. They remember the ones they lost. They sing. They tell stories. They feel close to each other. Alcohol wasn't just a drink. It was a way to bring people together. Another researcher, Patrick McGovern, studied ancient alcohol from all over the world. He examined the tiny chemical traces left behind inside old pots. One of the most famous examples comes from a place called Jiahu in China. Around 9,000 years ago, the people there made a fermented drink from rice, honey, fruit, and berries. So by this point, humans weren't just drinking old fruit by chance anymore. They were mixing ingredients. They were waiting. They were following recipes. They understood that sweet food plus time could turn into something powerful. And little by little, alcohol became part of human culture. Different places made different drinks. Some used grain, some used rice, some used fruit, some used honey. But the idea behind it was always the same. Food could change. And when food changed, it could change people too. Later, in ancient Egypt, beer became a huge part of everyday life. Workers drank it. Families drank it. It was poured in temples. It was used as medicine. It was even handed out as payment. For most people, beer wasn't just something fun. It gave them calories. It was part of their meals, part of their work, part of their religion. In a real way, beer helped hold ancient society together. A single drink could be food, payment, medicine, and ritual, all at once. That's how important alcohol had become. So, when did ancient humans start drinking alcohol? The answer comes in two parts. If you mean the natural alcohol found in old fruit, the story may stretch back millions of years. If you mean humans making it on purpose, the evidence goes back at least 13,000 years, long before modern life, before bars, before bottles, before money, before cities. Alcohol was already here, in fruit, in grain, in caves, in clay pots, around fires, inside rituals, inside human connection itself. So the next time you watch someone raise a glass of beer or wine, remember this: they aren't doing something new. They're repeating something ancient, something that began before history was ever written, before anyone understood science, before the word alcohol even existed. Our ancestors found it by accident, then they learned to make it on purpose, and once humans found alcohol, they never really let it go.